With multiplying and dividing integers, there are two rules, and that is if you first of all, you multiply and divide the integers like you normally would. It's just that if you multiply two integers with the same sign, the product or quotient will be positive no matter what. So a positive times a positive equals a positive, and a negative times a negative equals a positive. Now, when multiplying or dividing numbers with different signs, the product or quotient is automatically negative. So a positive times a negative is a negative, and a negative times a positive is negative. It does not matter which one has a greater absolute value. It's just always that way. So 3 times 5, well, we already know that the product is, hang on, try that again. Well, we already know it's 15. Well, you're gonna have to model this both with color counters and with a number line. So I'm going to show you both methods. It's important to remember what multiplication is. This means 3 groups of 5. So in our color counters, I need 3 groups of 5 positives. And they are all going into the main circle, and then we say that this equals the 15. Okay, I think I counted 15. But that's how you show it with color counters. Now on the number line, this is pretty straightforward. So now we just draw 3 arrows, 5 long each. So pretty straightforward and easy with positive 3 times positive 5. But now let's try 3 groups of negative 5. So now I have 3 groups with 5 negatives in them. Of course, again, they all are going in the big circle, so this equals 15 negatives. So on a number line, pretty much the same thing, where we have 3 arrows that are 5 long each. This time each one is, since it's going to the left, negative 5. And so it still equals negative 15. So really the trick is, how do we do negative groups, right? So negative 3 times 5. So I still have 5 in each group. Each of them go in. But how do I make it a negative group? Well, simply, you have to remember that in math, a negative is an opposite. So negative 3 is the opposite of 3. So really I have the opposite of 5 positives. And so really I have to write that word opposite on each group. And so now we know that that equals 15 negatives. So now what about the number line? So they still have to be 5 long, but this is what we do. Again, opposite of 5. Opposite of 5 and opposite of 5. And that's how we model on a number line -3 times 5, or -3 groups of 5. So -3 times -5. Now I need to have 5 negatives in each group, but again it's going to be the opposite of 3 groups of -5. And they're all going in. And so that equals, the opposite of 5 negatives is 5 positives. And on the number line, they have to be -5s, but the opposite. So they're still 5 long, but this is the opposite of -5. So now, just considering the rule, when I multiply 2 times 3, that will equal 6, because 2 times 3 is 6, and since they're both positive, they have the same sign as positive. Again, 2 times 3 is 6, but since one is negative and one is positive, my answer is -6. With 2 times -3, 2 times 3 is 6, one of them is negative, so it's negative. And then -2 times -3, the signs are the same, and 2 times 3 is 6, so my answer is +6. But what do we do if there's more than just 2 numbers? Well, 2 times 3 times 4, hopefully that gives you no surprise that that would be 24. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. And so all these products, as we know, are going to be 24, but are they positive or negative 24? Well, it depends on how many negatives there are. There's one negative in this one. So a -2 times 3 makes it -6, and -6 times 4 makes it -24. -2 times -3 would be +6, and +6 times 4 is +24. And then -2 times -3, that would be +6, but then +6 times a -4, you just take them 2 at a time. So that would be -24. So really, if there are an even number of negatives, whether it's multiply or divide, that will give you a positive answer, whether it's a product or a quotient. If there are an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, then your quotient or product will be negative.